I've never read Stephen King before. I know, I live under a rock. Two of my favorite booktubers, Ashlyn and Ian, love Stephen King. So today, I'm going to try to read King for the first time ever, and I'm taking you along with me. Alright guys, today is a perfect day to start this video, and that is because it is kind of gloomy outside. It looks like it's gonna rain. It's like mid-afternoon, a bit darker, like it's just giving fall vibes. And so as you already know from this intro, I'm gonna be reading Misery by Stephen King. I'm just gonna dive in and try out a book by him. So I don't know if I'm excited or what. I don't know what I am at this point. We will see. I am going to be reading Misery. This is the only Stephen King book I've had on my shelves, and this one I believe is about an author who kills off one of his most beloved characters and a crazed fan who is mad at him and kidnaps him and holds him hostage. I believe this is one that Stephen King has been quoted saying this is kind of his worst nightmare. So we will see what I think about this one. What the heck was that? What? Okay. Okay, so goodness, I'm only like 7 pages in. Language already, the GD and F word, but I don't like how he describes somebody breathing into somebody else, performing CPR as a way, as like he describes it and relates it, kind of like says like it mirrors a woman being raped against her will, basically. And I'm like, hold on, excuse me. Giving a CPR to somebody is the same as raping somebody? Like, I don't think so, Mr. King. At the same time, this has started off like immediately into the action. I thought there was going to be like more of a lead up, but it's like immediately into the accident, and the end here was quite intriguing. So, you know, I'm obviously going to continue reading. This is what this whole vlog is about, but just a couple of thoughts about the beginning right there. So y'all, I just read the most disgusting thing that I did not need to know at all or ever read. I was expecting like less horror, I guess, because of what the book is about, but still, why? That's gross. Also, they're making her out like a crazy kind of like, oh, she's a lunatic because she believes in God? You really want to go there, Stephen King? You really want to go there? That may not be the impression he was trying to give, but I feel like this is kind of done a lot in books. The whole, oh, when somebody's crazy, when somebody's psycho, when somebody's whatever, they use God and the existence of God and religion as why they're crazy, or because they're crazy they believe in this. I will fight you, Stephen King. I will come fight you. You want to have a theological discussion? Try me. the most disgusting, gross thing just happened. And if you don't like mice or rats, I don't know if this is the book for you because of the part that just happened. Goodness, I had to have a hug for my husband after I read that. I was like, no. Okay guys, so I just read probably the best part so far in the book of when Paul finds something and looks through this, like, I'm trying not to be too spoilery. I haven't decided if this is going to be spoiler or spoiler free, but it's like inside a serial killer's mind. So that was interesting and probably the best part of this book so far. And I'm currently on page 251. So, okay, that part was a little bit hard to read. That was some gore. Yeah, that was some gore. Fair warning on gore, chopping of body parts. That was interesting. I don't prefer to read that stuff. You know, I think one of my least favorite things about this is that something gross happens in this book and I'm like, okay, that was, you know, like intense, like, I don't know. I like when it gets intense and I like when it's kind of high stakes and when stuff is happening, but at the same time, sometimes, you know, I don't like the detailedness of some of the stuff that he puts in. But I feel like the worst part is that after it happens, he repeatedly makes the main character remember it pretty much just as vividly as it happens. So he basically repeats to you 2, 3 or more times the horrific thing that he just laid out vividly that just happened. And I'm like, dude, we read that, we knew that, like, get over it, King, and move on with something else. Like, have more actual content in your book that you don't have to keep repeating yourself constantly. Oh my gosh, that's just kind of annoying. I don't know if this was the best one to start. I'm doing pretty good, honestly. I'm on page 286. But I just feel like this one is, like, it's 400 pages. And I'm sitting here thinking, you could have taken out a bunch of useless stuff. Just over-detailed things and copying and repeating himself and just days and days of endless nothing happening. Could have cut out like 100 pages and made this a lot more fast-paced thriller horror of kind of what the setup is. Right now, with like what I'm getting, I'm still thinking back to the Criminal Minds episode that is based off Misery, this book, and I'm thinking that was so much more entertaining. So that's where I'm at right now. Hi guys, so please ignore my hair. It's morning time. Haven't taken it out and dealt with it yet. Trying to get breakfast ready first. I wanted to update you on what I read yesterday of Misery. I believe I will probably finish it today. Like, I will finish it today. I'm pretty sure I have like 50-ish, maybe 60 or something pages left. So I am like determined to finish it today. Yesterday, some more really gross stuff happened. Really gory stuff and intense stuff happened, and I kind of figured it was probably going to get a little worse at the end, and it was getting close to, I stopped reading before dinner and I was like, I don't want to read this at night, so I picked up a romance instead, to get my mind off of it for the evening, so I didn't have nightmares, which I guess worked because I didn't have nightmares, so there you go. I will say though, I feel like the first half of the book is not very horror. Like, I said that, like, I picked this book because I wanted a little less, like, I didn't want too extreme of a horror. But I don't know, I feel like the first half was kind of boring, but then also kind of interesting. Like, it kept me enough intrigued, but I also have seen that done to where it's not quite as boring. I just keep thinking back to the Criminal Minds episode and how much I loved that episode that was based off of Misery. At the same time, though, it's like, you know, in the show they can show certain stuff without being too horrific and or gory, whatever you want to call it. But in a book, let's just say Stephen King is really descriptive when it comes to that stuff. Like, very descriptive, too descriptive. I don't need to know kind of descriptive. Like, he could put it a little bit differently and still get the same thought picture, but it wouldn't be quite so like graphic and like gross to me. So I don't know if I prefer that. I'm sure horror like fanatics love that fact, but I don't know. Because this is like, you know, there's a Criminal Minds episode based off this. This kind of has more of a like serial killer-esque to it than I thought it did going into it. And that's kind of like the entire plot of like the book is serial killer-esque. And maybe it's because I've watched so much Criminal Minds or other shows like that or whatnot, that I have pretty much guessed everything that's going to happen in the book up to this point. Like, every little thing I'm like, well, I'm sure this is going to happen, this is going to happen, and this will probably happen at some point, and it'll be like this. And I've pretty much been right on the money on absolutely everything. But the one thing I'm not sure on, I'm not sure how Stephen King is going to end this book. So he might actually surprise me with that. But I just figured I should let you know that the plot is pretty dang predictable for the majority of the book. So, got about 60-ish pages yet left. I will update you guys, and I will try to film myself reading some of it because I have missed a lot of filming myself. I think I have a little bit of some of that, which I'll definitely put in, but like, hopefully I can catch some of my hilarious expressions while reading gross stuff. So, yeah. Well, he just did it. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad he did that. I'm still a little curious at exactly how it's gonna end here with this, but it's going down. This is the end, guys. Oh, that was brutal. Why does he have to make those comments? Like, I don't like the illustration he is using here, as I don't like it. Yeah, I didn't think that was the end of it. Still 20 more pages. Dude, you didn't actually... Of course he didn't. Of course he didn't. Because writing is more important than his life. This man is so dumb. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. What? What just happened? Okay, so I just finished this book, Misery, my first ever Stephen King book. And I have been talking to you guys a lot throughout this about what I'm liking, not liking, or whatnot, some content, reactions, whatever. I don't know, I'm a little conflicted about the end here because I felt like it was like pretty like intense and good at the end. And then it kind of like left me on like a, oh my gosh, are you serious? Like, what just happened? But then it kind of went into epilogue part and it was like, oh no, just imagination, just all in your head. I mean, I feel like it was kind of playing on the like Stockholm syndrome and being driven crazy aspects a lot, which was interesting. I don't know if I cared for it as much, but like I understand it. This honestly seemed like so much to me. This is a Criminal Minds episode. They made a Criminal Minds episode based off this book. So like it seems very much like serial killer thriller type of thing, but it is kind of gory. There are honestly, for like a horror book, and I'm sure like compared to his other books, not nearly as gory because it is probably like 3 or 4 like actual parts and scenes that were gory. Did not appreciate him, but I think the part that upset me or like bothered me more was the fact that when Stephen King did something gory and had like a horrible scene, he would have the character relive it and replay it in his mind and talk about it over and over and over again, and we have to hear the same details. And I'm like, can you just not think of another like gory thing, or are you just trying to fill space here? This book is already too long in my opinion. But I don't know, but the way that it ended at the end, like it was good. It was also, this was very predictable. I was guessing everything that was going to happen in this, but I was not 100% sure what he was going to do at the end, with this kidnapper, killer, and our writer, main character. I wasn't completely sure what he was going to do there. So that was interesting, and honestly, I kind of liked it better when he kind of faked us out, because there was a fake out at the very end, and then the epilogue kind of like showed you the fake out. Now, if I didn't read the epilogue, I would have just been so much happier with the end, I feel like. Or if the epilogue had done something different. And it still kind of had some like good creepy undertones, because I like more creepy than horror. But I don't know, I'm a little bit conflicted on it, because reading the end I was thinking, oh, is this about to be bumped up to maybe a 4 stars just because this is so good? So right now, I don't know, I'm very much between a 3.75 and a 4 stars for this, just kind of because of how it wrapped up a little bit more intensely and together. Now, I will say I have talked about this throughout it a little bit, but there is some cussing in this. He does take the Lord's name in vain. If that bothers you, probably not the book for you. There is gore. It is a horror book. There's stuff with rats. There is like, it's a serial killer, so there is like actual murdering talked about in graphic detail, which was kind of hard to read. That was disgusting, and I did not need to know that stuff. But there was also what I didn't like, and I've heard this, like a lot of controversial stuff about Stephen King, but one of the things I really didn't like was he constantly compared writing to masturbation. And I was like, what the heck is wrong with you and your mind? That is disgusting. And that is not like, no. And then towards the end, he also compared, gosh, that might be a spoiler. How do I say this? So he compares some type of attack of like, I'm trying to say this broadly, just like an attack, but not sexual attack, to his, like in his mind, his way of raping somebody. And I also thought that was like gross and disgusting. Like, again, I can't even say I understand completely where he's going, because I just don't think it's a good, like, in that context, because it's so messed up in the first place. It's just like a messed up thing for a messed up thing, really. But those were honestly like the things that I did not like and were grossing me out the most in this book. I also didn't like the language or whatnot. I didn't like the way that the crazy person was kind of like seen as, well, you know, a religious fanatic in a way, who didn't like cussing. I was like, why is that? Like, there's a lot of people who don't like cussing. Doesn't mean we're crazy, but I don't know. I just felt like there were a lot of stereotypes in this book. It was a very predictable all the way until the very end wrap up. But I did get more interested in it as I went on. I do think that the first half was kind of a little boring for me. I wasn't as interested. There was some unnecessary, just gross stuff that wasn't even like horror, but just ew and gross. But I guess it kind of like played into the sadistic mind of a serial killer. But I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to land on for this. 3.75 to a 4 probably. I don't know, we will see, but I just wanted to thank you guys for coming along with me for my first ever read of Stephen King. If you are a Stephen King fan or you've read any Stephen King, let me know what you think. Did I pick a good book? Did I pick a bad book to start out with for him? I know there are certain books that are more controversial than others. I am going to stay straight out. I'm not going to be reading it or any other books that deals with like child pornography on the verge of like that line. I think that's disgusting. I think that man needs to have something done for him for having written that, because I don't think that's appropriate in any sense of the matter, no matter what kind of book you're writing. But I'm not completely against checking out his other books, I guess, if there's something that like interests me. I might not buy them though. I might like more so get them from the library in the future if I wanted to check something out, but that's just kind of like my thoughts so far. This was an interesting ride, so let me know in the comments what you think. Do you read Stephen King? What's your favorite? Do you agree with my opinion, or do you hate me right now? Let me know. We'll talk about it. We'll chat about it and stuff in the comments. I will see you guys next time. Bye.